Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and now I'm just realizing that it's time to change that background. Chicago does look quite beautiful, but it's no longer relevant to my life, well, at least currently. Anyways, we got a shit ton to talk about on good old Bitcoin today. We got a shit ton to talk about on the good old Krown trading application that's coming out relatively soon, and all sorts of fun stuff. In fact, there's going to be some live trades during this video. However, I'm probably going to have to post it on my YouTube stories right after this, as that's going to be the best and safest way to do it, in order to not kind of reveal anything perhaps sensitive on my own accounts. But I will be posting it a little bit later. So if you are on, if you are on the YouTube app on your mobile, you'll be able to see it there. And we'll talk about it over here. But I do want to always, provide verification for my trades, verification for what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. Not because it's always going to be perfect, but because I think that that's important to do for transparency. I think that that's probably, that's really, the biggest thing to me is just transparency. Because, well, like, why fucking not? I mean, otherwise you're just like LARPing, right? You're just kind of pretending at the very best. Anyways, with all of that said, I've been completely neglecting to talk about the Krown trading app and the what's it called? The relationship to the Jewel. Coming out again first week of November. So I'll be focusing a little bit on that, as I've been getting a lot of questions on that. But before we actually get into that, I do want to bring up the live scene right here and just point towards the Discord community. As most questions will be answered in this last post in the announcement section. So please read through this before messaging me. Also, please, I beg of you, do not email me. It's very, very difficult for me to follow, and it's also a little bit cumbersome. It is much better for both me and you if we do it on Discord, because it's easier for me to track, and I can get back to you. And as you can see on the left hand side, I've actually gotten through most of my messages, which I'm really happy about. Anyways, let's get to the app right here. I'll talk about it in just a second. But let me just bring it up right there, and there we go. So Bitcoin, you can see dominance actually ticked down quite a bit. Total market cap is mostly flat. Yes, we are down slightly. Altcoin market cap actually taken up here, which is a little bit interesting to me. And we do see that mostly it's kind of holding steady. So Bitcoin kind of leveling off a little bit, suggests that alts rose up a little bit to kind of make up for that disparity. And we do see basically all major zones kind of coming in at the same price. I do realize that the EU zone should probably be in the euro format right here, so we'll be changing that. And what I also want to point out is open interest is around 1 billion right now. So I do believe that it is appropriate to be. I do believe that it's appropriate to think that we will be getting a move very likely in the next 24 to 36 hours. The reason why I say that is not just because open interest is getting a little bit higher, but also volatility on lower time frames, as we'll look at, is starting to really taper off quite a bit. And more importantly, we do have the monthly closing relatively soon. So both sides going to be posturing for posturing to take advantage of the close. And that's going to really drive the next sort of major bias, at least in my direction. So with that said, let's actually get into it right now. But I would like to wish you the best, also the happiest as always, man, because, well, that's why fucking not, man. Anyways, let me just make sure this is good over here. And we'll get in a live scene right now. Oh, Jesus Christ. I almost forgot. Sorry. I really do apologize about this. The Krown trading application, which is set to come out initially in beginning of November, we are going to be kind of titrating the access to it. The first access is going to be given to just the beta testers. They, for the most part, know who they're going to be. And then after that, we're going to start the onboarding process for all of the people who are already in the Jewel program, who are in the technical analysis program, or the options program. So we'll make sure that if you want, and you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but you'll be able to access all of the content that you now have on Teachable, which will now be present on the Krown Trading app, which will also allow you to watch it offline as well, as I've been getting a lot of requests on how to view the content, without an online connection. Unfortunately, I did have to disable the downloads for the Teachable, just because, well, some people are taking advantage of that. Unfortunately, it is the internet, for better or worse. You kind of have to deal with it, but it is, it certainly doesn't make you feel good either when people just kind of fucking steal. So fair enough, man. But hey, life goes on. Anyways, the jewel, as I've been saying, is going to change from what is now a lifetime, a lifetime purchase essentially. Anyone who buys a jewel, whether it's on a payment plan, again, keywords, whether it's on, because I get this question every fucking day, whether it's on a payment plan or not. Again, payment plan or not, before November 1st, you will get lifetime access to the jewel, assuming that you follow through with that payment plan. Of course, if the payments aren't made, well then. Well, probably gonna lose access, right? Anyways, the big thing with that is that after that date, after that November 1st date, we will be switching it to a monthly subscription. It makes a lot more sense. Also, we want to close off the access a little bit on it, as I don't really think that like this community or really just any community in a world market is going to like put a huge, is going to destroy the use case of it. In fact, we actually just ran a few tests, and we've seen some pretty phenomenal results with regards to the efficiency of it in just about every market. So that's pretty exciting for myself, and then on top of that, with regards to the jewel, it's going to be a lot of people have been asking the question, how much it's going to be per month. We are looking at $300 per month, as I believe that is the sweet spot for it. Anyways, okay. With all of that said, I think I've gotten through everything. So as always, wish you the best of the best. I already said that. Well, I'd like to wish you the best of the best as well. Anyways, man, why fucking not? Anyways, into the live scene right here. And Bitcoin on the, let's go to a daily to start this bitch off. And as you can see on the daily, we are flagging out still above the 200 simple moving average right here. This is, as long as we're above this area right here, especially above the 200 simple, which is that $9,000 region, I think that is, I have to be biased to the upside. I'll be showing a lot of things a little bit later on that make me defensive in this posturing, and actually, and actually be showing my positions, like I said, on my YouTube stories coming up as well for verification, but actually realized that given the, and I guess I just kind of spoiled the punchline right now, given the daily jewel buy signal back on over here, I completely forgot about this. I did it on my streamer account, but I actually did put in a buy here. This was when I was basically traveling from America to Europe, and I was severely jet lagged. So for whatever reason, I completely forgot. That I had like basically a stop buy right around like 8,700 once we got above this little prior high right here. That's why I did it. That's why I took the position. And for whatever reason, I just completely fucking forgot, which is really embarrassing to myself. But it does happen, especially with my streamer account, which is not my main priority. In fact, there's days at a time where I never even log into it, and so now it's coming back into memory, which probably sounds really, really weird. But again, my priority is with my main account, and my priority overall right now is to move. So, taking that trade on a sleepy plane while I'm on a stopover in Iceland, pretty good. I actually didn't even realize that I didn't realize I got filled, but I did buy a decent amount. I think about 20 Bitcoins at around 8,700. So I will be showing that a little bit later today on my YouTube stories. But overall, Bitcoin, I would be biased to the upside as long as we are above this 200 simple moving average right here. I'm not so confident that this does hold though, but I will hold that position as long as we're above the 200 simple. And this is, and I'm gonna lay this out exactly the way that I laid out this trade back on over here. It's gonna be the same fucking thing, man. It's gonna be the same thing. And while I am biased to the upside, just like over here I was biased to the downside, if we violate this area, meaning that we close at the very least a medium time frame dildo, like a 4 hour below, let's call it like 8,900 at the very most, that most conservative, although 9,000 I think would get the job done as well. I will be happy to take that position off, take profit from 8,700 and flip short. The reason why is because it's the same sort of thing. This changes everything for me. This area right here, if we do violate the 200 simple, right around, again, 8,900 if you want to be conservative, 9,000 if you want to be a little more aggressive, I would be looking for price action to come all the way back down to the 8,500-ish level, probably a small bounce there, and then likely move its way down to the $8,000 level. And at that point, this would just look like a lower high, and we'd be long-term trending to the downside, probably getting ready for new lows below this 7,300 low right here. That is all well and far away. I'm just doing the exact same thing that I did right over here, which I got a ton of blowback for this. It's so bizarre. It's gonna be the same thing, man, and I'm sure that there's gonna be the same people, looking at this area right and over here. And if we do break to the downside, they're gonna say, "Krown, you got wrecked with your long." It's like, first things first, started well below there. It's a stop loss. It would be a take profit essentially, and I will flip short if we do that. I'm telling you right now, just like I did right on over here, I will flip to the other side. That's the whole point with the pivot on the market. Anyways, So with regards to that, that's the area that I'm kind of looking to manage off of, and I'm happy to be long. I'm happy to be biased the upside as long as you remain above there. Yes, it does look like Bitcoin's kind of flagging out on a daily, and we do see all momentum oscillators on a higher time frame switching around to a bullish posturing. Daily Stokes still very much up and at 'em. More importantly, for daily Stokes, we are breaking this trend line right. Oh, I guess I already have it in there. We are actually going to break this trend line likely today, assuming that we don't have like a major massive down move. Which, if we do violate that area that we spoke about, we likely would get that, and we likely would put in a rejection right here, right at the edge of the bullish control zone. So the setup is there for the bears if they do want to take control at this pivotal moment. Again, just with 1 day until the daily dildo close, or sorry, not daily dildo, but monthly dildo close. And then on top of that, we do see moving averages starting to shift around into a more bullish posture as well. We do see the we do see the red 10 symbol cross the upside of the yellow 20-minute exponential moving average right here. I won't go through the strategy in detail right now, but I do pay a lot of attention to that. If you actually want that one, I uploaded it for free on my technical analysis 101 playlist near the end there. It'll go through in depth on how to play that one. But overall, I kind of like what I'm seeing here. The longer that Bitcoin just doesn't break below 8,900, essentially, the more better it gets, if you want to call it that. Over to the 2-day, again, all higher time frames are more or less okay here. 2-day Stokes still up and at 'em, plenty of room to go, plenty of room to roll to the upside. 2-day RSI breaking out of the bearish control zone and holding above the neutral zone for the first time in quite some time as well, ever since middle of September. So more than a month ago, so changes of behavior being confirmed. And going over the 3-day, it just gets confirmed even a little bit more with 3-day Stokes actually breaking north of the critical zone, also breaking this trend line right here, which I really do like. Or sorry, more accurately spoken, is going to have a chance to break it on the next tick, which we do get. Yes, later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So this will have a chance to actually confirm above there. And that would make me convicted towards this next move. Not only that, but the 3-day chart's actually really helpful here. I think it's getting things quite well. You do see that we got front ran off the 200 exponential moving average to the downside right here, and right now we are living above all major moving averages and avoiding that very bearish cross between the yellow 21 and the green 55 that we see running over here at the $8,900 level. Again, key critical area, $8,900. You're going to see all the higher time frames suggest that area is the area of action, I suppose. And I would say that as long as 3-day dildos are closing above this 8,900-ish level, I do think that the next move to the upside from a 3-day perspective, again, not to be confused with a lower time frame, which we will go over later, likely does bring us back into the 10.3 region, 10.5 region, and I really don't see too much stopping us from 11,000 after that. I mean, realistically, the skies are kind of clear here. If Bitcoin does get that continuation, but remember, this is a ticking time bomb right now because this 3-day dildo will be ending today. So I'd like to see continuation, sooner rather than later on this one, and that also offers up a kind of back-ended trade, if you want to call it that, where if we do close something like this, something like kind of a just sideways dildo, if you want to call this a doji-ish dildo, you could. I suppose it would work as one. If we do take out the low of this one on the following 3-day dildo, which again will be coming out later tonight, then I would look at that as a bearish signal and again look for the lower 8,000s at the very least, and probably lower over that, because that would confirm this as a local high and we'd again be trending to the downside. But until all of that happens, I am biased to the upside here, and I'm happy to hold longs. I'm very happy to hold longs. Not only that, but I want to bring up something that I literally have not spoken a word about, and this is like perhaps the biggest thing to make me bullish right now, amongst other things, but just a very powerful thing nonetheless. As long as the weekly is above the red 10 simple, I do like this setup, but what I'm referring to right now is actually the weekly Stokes, which are going to have a chance to cross the upside. Of course, this does not get confirmed until some coffee coming up right now. This does not get confirmed until Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, but imagine that we do stay anywhere above about $9,000. We will see that bullish cross. The last time that we had a cross on weekly Stokes in this region was basically the low of December, and again calling this secondary low right here, this higher low right here before the move to the upside. So I do put a lot of weight on that, especially if we end the weekly above all major moving averages. There's no reason in my mind to not be bullish based off that, especially with volume like this coming on the weekly. That is change behavior volume most likely, assuming that we can get just even a little bit of follow through would look pretty damn good to me. The things that make me the most skeptical on this are, looking at Bitcoin or just looking at the crypto space in a whole, is one, the sentiments right now. There's a lot of very arrogant bulls coming back into the market. talking about those stupid bears, shorting once again, which is always a really good signal. And then also, which we'll look at a little bit later, is the altcoins, which are a lot of them have confirmed lower highs already. And typically this market does move together. So, if they're kind of fading their rallies or even putting in lower highs and confirming that makes me, very skeptical on this for Bitcoin. But again, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is the king of the market, and he sets the tone, he sets the pace, and it's not until Bitcoin actually confirms that, that lower high as well, where I'd say, okay, it's time to look at this as a bull trap essentially, and getting ready for, likely moving down below the $7,000 region. That's at the point where I think $6,000, $5,500 becomes extremely likely. But for right now, it's again all is well and good in Bitcoin land until it is not, and that's basically trading. Anyways, let's go through the lower time frames now. Or sorry, I should briefly mention that the daily historical volatility percentile is still maintaining its composure here, still well above the moving average on this, and more importantly, expanding. So I do like this, and I do think that this does suggest that we will see further, further continuation. So again, another kind of point alongside all of the momentum oscillators in the bull's court. I really like using volatility metrics alongside momentum oscillators to kind of get a bias on direction and then time, those sorts of moves. So again, all of the higher time frames are looking good for the bulls. And speaking of, remember, we do have the monthly close in tomorrow. Let's look at the monthly for a second. Monthly is going to have a chance to have a phenomenal close here, especially at a current level at 9,200, 9,300. That would be okay. I'd feel very confident in the bulls balls to kind of bring this one up and onwards. If we close above, especially 9,500, that would be absolutely phenomenal close on the monthly. But overall, we do have that same sort of beautiful cross going on right here. The red 10 symbol, the yellow 21. Last time that we had an example of this was back over here in March, April of 2016. Nice pull back into it of about 30%, which is just absolutely astonishing. And then a 5,000% move to the upside all the way from tree 50 to $20,000 price per Bitcoin. Not only that, but momentum oscillators are going to have a chance to do something that we haven't done in a very long time. We're going to have a chance to get in the bullish control zone since the first time in April 2018. Confirming there. Not only that, but monthly RSI, if we can end above the exponential, I would say that is another phenomenal sign as well, that we are going to work our way into the bullish control zone. Very, 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 very similar signature here that we're seeing right now to what we saw on this first major drop back after the first major initial big up in the last bear market to bull market switch up. So let me explain this for a second. We do see monthly RSI coming down, this was your bear market 2014, 2015, and then switching up out of it, we do see, this nice rally beginning right here, coming from the lows until this first major test of the bullish control zone on monthly RSI. This point right here is essentially akin to where the bull trap of 2014 came in, 2015 came in right here before this major down. So Bitcoin gets back up to that level, falls back down about 30%, and then catches these moving averages and then gets marched upwards and onwards. Well, that could operate very, 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 very similarly right here, as we do have a lot of things kind of suggesting the same sort of thing. Anyways, looking at monthly RSI, we do see we've come into the bullish control zone. We've rejected from it just like we did right on over here. Yes, we did get front run off the exponential right here. And right here, you can see that we are catching it, but we're not really getting front run off it. In fact, we got thrown below, but that is what a hunt and what a trap is. That's the purpose of it, right? So I do think that is kind of my first read on this. Sorry for hitting the mic. I don't mean to ruin your ears right there. Let me just make sure that I'm actually, that my mic is actually on. Okay, it is. It's a good thing to do when you're recording long as fuck videos. Anyways, back into it right now. I do like that signature, and I would say that if we do close the monthly RSI above the exponential right here, just basically above, anywhere above the neutral zone, I'd say that is more or less bullish longer term. Remember, monthly schedule does not mean that like the hourly is going to have the girthy green dildo of the fucking heavens right now, because how many hourlies can you fit into a monthly, right? A lot. How many hourlies can you fit into a daily? Quite a bit as well. So that's why I don't really focus too much on the lower time frames, because they don't really govern the higher time frame direction. Anyways, okay. Speaking of lower time frames, let's get into them right now and let's see what we're working with. So 4 hour is looking a little bit droopy here. Flag formation is kind of losing it. Yes, we do have the golden cross. Yes, we are seeing divergence between the 55 and the 200, but this. Not typically how you want to see it kind of play out. Breaking the 21 exponential moving average, not a death sentence, but does look does look a little bit rounded over here. I'm not as I really didn't want to see the 21 broken. I wanted to see it hold so that we could form something like an ascending triangle right here and target a move maybe up to like 10-3, 10-4. That is no longer in play now, and in fact we're using the 21 as resistance, which usually after that you're going to kind of push off it, and in this place test the next relevant region, which is going to be about 89.50ish region. Remember, that is more or less the line in the sand for me to the downside. Momentum oscillators 4 hours are showing still some downwards pressure. 4-hour Stokes still headed south. 4-hour RSI, if we can get over to it, is kind of nosediving right there, although it probably does bounce. It is kind of in more bounce territory. Historical volatility percentile still massively redlined, which tells me that we're still kind of consolidating. And then more importantly, and what's kind of nasty here is the 4-hour Joule. Now this is not a sell signal I would ever take. I never just talking about like messages that I always get. I never take signals in here, in this region right here. I'll take them over here. I'll take them in here. But this would be a continuation sell signal if you took this sell signal right here. And this one wasn't a super powerful one. This one was a decent one. But if you did take the sell signal right here, this last tick would be telling you to hold it. So they told you to sell somewhere right around 9,700, it looks like, and it's actually telling you to hold it right now. So again, a little bit greedy there, but $500, profit off that signal, not bad. And that wasn't even like a beautiful signal. That's certainly not a perfect one. It's just a decent one, with just two of them kind of operating off each other. Anyways, moving it down just one more step, we do see 3-hour Stokes looking like they're snaking around. Now, I put a shit ton of emphasis on the 3-hour Stokes because sometimes you can blindly trade them in a sense. We do see a trend line forming, however. So right at the neutral zone, we will see a little bit of resistance there. But I really want to see where this next tick brings us. Do we see it curl down, or do we see it snake up? If we see it snake up, I'd say that Bitcoin probably pulls through here. But again, structure on the lower time frames is kind of breaking down for an ascending triangle or a flag or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Again, until we see a higher time frame close below 8,900, I wouldn't call it, I wouldn't call it a bull trap just yet. But if that does happen, this is going to look kind of nasty here. But for now, still kind of holding steady. Sometimes you get these sloppy formations. It is cryptocurrency land, and that is that. Also, Jesus Christ, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the stream. I do believe that that this wick down that we saw to about 90.50 in the early morning hours was your test of the CME gap. So when I said yesterday that it was likely that we come back down and test around that $9,000 to $8,900 region, I do believe that that's already happening. In fact, if we do come back down to that region, again, it's not a death sentence, but I'd say coming back down to that region after you fill the gap, you don't get 2 times to buy a gap unless you want to get fucking gapped in your bunghole yourself. And I'd say that would just mostly be a bad thing. In fact, even if we took out yesterday's daily low right around, again, about 90.50 or 91.55 on CMEs, not good. I really not like that. Again, that would just confirm this as another lower high. And remember, this lower high is actually coming off of a rejection off this trend line that's been holding us back ever since June, late June, right? So still very much relevant, still very much valid. So yeah, anyways, you do see that longer term, we do kind of have, as long as we kind of, pull this one forwards, we do have a little bit of a descending broadening wedge kind of in the formation. So if Bitcoin did get rejected here and did come back down, I'd actually look for this trend line to come into play at some point. Something like this, maybe even use the wicks on it, something like this. So, I'd probably target a move, somewhere down along this trend line over time, which, as you can see, leads us all the way down to the abyss. But these ascending broadening wedges typically do break to the upside. It's just there's no timing component on that. So, you could stay in them for years, really. So not really too helpful right now. We do see that fibs are getting things extremely well. We do see that 618 kind of did call the low. We see the 382 kind of calling our more immediate resistance right now, and the 0.5 coming right in the middle, right around 85.50ish region, which I think that 85.50 is, it's relevant, but I think it's appropriate to be more aggressive towards the 8900ish region first and foremost. Anywhere below there, and I think it's quite bad. Let me take off the alert off this. There we go. Alrighty, or no, I want to destroy the alert. Can I remove it? Yeah. Let's get rid of that. No, wrong one, motherfucker. Let's see. Can we just delete? There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Let's actually move this guy. We don't even need him right now. Get rid of him altogether. Clean up these charts, make them look more pretty. Anyways, I want to see what GBDC did yesterday. See how that one ended up. As now that I'm no longer living in America, it's well, I have to look at this after the fact. Anyways, right now GBDC is still holding this critical 1095 region right here. See, it's coming back down to test it, which I do think is a little bit left of center here. But momentum oscillators on the daily looking more or less the same as we do see on spot price. So not really getting anything unique off this chart. Same levels pretty much apply. I'd move this horizontal down just a smidgen here and say the kind of line in the sand. Really don't want to see any sort of higher time frame dildos closing below about 1085. Otherwise, at the very least, coming back down to 10 and a quarter, and probably more, a lot more than that over time. So that's what I'm looking at right on over here. I'm curious, does the weekly look any different? Weekly's kind of printing a doji little right now with 1 day to go. Monthly has 1 day to go as well, and having a nice hammer dildo. So I do kind of like that. We will get that same bullish cross on the monthly. So overall, okay. I do want to check out expected moves right now and see what they're suggesting. We do see the top of the first standard deviation coming in right around about 97.50, which reminds me that I didn't even talk about the upside potential on the lower time frames. While I am biased to the bull side, as long as we are above that critical range, I didn't even talk about what I'd be looking for to the upside here. To the downside, we do see the first deviation coming in right around about 88.50. I think that's pretty much right in line with the 8900ish region. It's close enough. It's close enough at the end of the day. So I would say that does bode well for that. It does bode well for that, and again, just kind of agreeing with it from a volatility perspective. That watch that area. If we do start to violate it, it's I would not be bullish, at least in the short, medium time frames, and probably the higher time frames as well. It looked pretty bad. But overall here, you do see that it's holding steady. So I do think that we're just kind of, I think that you look at this as a consolidation at a high level, first and foremost, which is mostly positive, and then, work off of it from there. Okay, cool. Speaking of the lower time frame, speaking of bullish time frame, speaking of potential bullish targets, because I spoke a lot about the bearish targets, even though I'm kind of long right now. But on the lower time frames for Bitcoin, the most relevant resistance for the next breakout would be that 97.50ish region, which again we do see agree with expected moves with regards to historical volatility, kind of suggesting the same area right on over here. It says 9,800. I would say that again, it's within a $50 range, and kind of same thing to the downside. I do think that's I think it's appropriate to be a little more aggressive actually to both sides on this one. And if we were to take out 97.50 to the upside, technically speaking, I would be looking at a move back up to test the top of the range, which in this case would be anywhere between about 10.3 to 10.5. That's where things get very interesting, because remember, that would be a test of this same trend line that we've been living under for the last 4 months now. June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, about 4 or 5 months. And you can see that also kind of brings us back to our last major breakdown area right here. So if we could break back above there, I would be looking for a move, likely back up to at the very least 12,000, and realistically at that point, this would look. I'd just be generally long-term bullish. We could talk about lower time frames and how they, and how they're going to operate here and there. But overall, that would likely lead us up into our next big breakout. Technically speaking, if you want to do it the tried and true way, which kind of didn't get it right the last time actually. But if we did get a higher high over this 11.5 high that we got in early August, that would do it for me. For looking for new overall highs here, and that's where you can start to talk about 16,000 as a legitimate target. Just looking from let's actually put on the volume profile right here. Looking from a volume profile perspective, there's really not much above this region, as you can see, especially compared to where we've been. You'll probably remember that when Bitcoin was down here or here or here, it was moving at like a snail's pace, and you can just imagine. Or sorry, when it was down here, it was moving at a snail's pace. Right here is moving, it felt kind of fast, even though it's still technically slow compared to what we're doing right here, which again, still pretty, still relatively thick, especially compared to what we're looking at anywhere above about 11.5. So closes above there. Realistically, you're probably going to see Bitcoin zoom off and around. You see a little bit of activity again right around that $16,000 region. coming in from this bull trap that we saw in January 2018. So I do think that we'd probably have a nice pullback somewhere in that region between 16 and 16.5. But overall, I'd be massively bullish off that. The ranges is going to be absolutely massive, so I would expect a lot of fuckery here and there. Realize that the liquidation engine is going to be absolutely rolling because, well, this market has a massive degenerate gambling problem. Anyways, so yeah, volume profile just really suggesting that and especially the longer that we maintain and put in a base above about 8,500 here on a weekly closing basis, the better and better that this does look. So I do like that. And I would say that that's more positive long term, and does suggest that if we can break above, especially that critical point of 11.5 on a weekly closing basis, which you can see the path for is there on a lower time frame, then this becomes very fun. So, why even talk about being bearish then? Well, the reason why I talk about being bearish is because a lot of altcoins are just not looking good. Let's go through them right now. So Zcash is not fair to really discuss because it doesn't know how to rally. It just goes down. Perennial loser. Bcash. Do we have a lower high confirmed? We don't have a lower high confirmed just yet, but you do see a rejection in the making. We are getting front ran from the 200 simple and living below the 200 exponential moving average. This is just another lower high as long as we are below the 200 exponential moving average, especially, and putting a nice shooting star as it is right now, assuming that we do close down here, which again, it's a long time between now and the end of the daily it'll close, so it's not confirmed just yet. That would, at the very least, I'd be looking for a pullback down to like 270, 250-ish region. So fair enough. Let's go check out Tron. What's Tron doing? Tron, same thing, getting rejection from the 200 exponential moving average thus far. Again, this is, day's not over just yet, but if we do end like this, I'd be looking for this one to come back down towards 1.8.5 region. Going over to Neo. What's Neo doing? Neo has already kind of confirmed a local high right here and a lower high. Not necessarily on a daily, actually on a weekly. So Neo's actually looking okay just because it's still maintaining above the weekly 21, but needs if we take out $10 to the downside, very bad, very fucking bad. Just would be another lower high on the macro scale, and well, get ready for new lows most likely. EOS, same thing as well. Looking at a daily right here, we don't have a lower high just confirmed just yet, but using the 89 as resistance, as long as we're living below there, as long as all these wicks just get accumulated right there, I mean, it's that is the area to beat. If we can get back above that area, I'd be looking for a move back up to this prior high right around middle of September, and probably beyond after that. What's Ripple Me Nipples looking like? Again, really struggling along the 200 exponential moving average right here, and their event is rapidly approaching right now. I think within a week and a half perhaps. And usually, Ripple likes to rally up into its swell events and then sell off, either the day or week before or like the day of. And I think that people are kind of accustomed to this game now. So the sell-offs begin early and early, and the initial boosts to the upside are more and more tame. So again, as long as we're using this area as resistance right around 31 cents, I don't really see any sort of threat of real upside here. Looking at a weekly schedule though, I do think that it's I'd like to see it close above the 21. Then I'd be looking for a move actually all the way into like the 35-cent region. So that would be good, but we're gonna have to wait until the fucking Sunday for that. Monero, what's Monero doing? Getting rejected by all major movement averages on a weekly. Not good. Daily, what's a daily looking like? Is this a local high confirmed right here, or are we just kind of trying to put in a sideways consolidation as moving averages catch price action? Technically this is a little bit of a local high right here. We do see momentum also as a more bullish posture, so I guess I wouldn't call it like a breakdown until we actually move below like 57.25. Stellar, what's Stellar doing? 6.5, and again struggling along the 89. This one also doesn't really know how to rally, unfortunately. Been in a downtrend ever since 2018. Quite nasty. Litecoin, what's Litecoin doing? Struggling on the 55, and just not looking all that impressive right here. The weekly, however, I do think likely carries onwards and upwards. I don't want to be bullish as long as we're below the 200 simple. I don't want to be bearish as long as we're above it on a macro scale. So I would look at this as the actionable area, but unfortunately it is once again on a weekly close-in schedule. If we can close above it, if we could close above the 200 exponential moving average right here, the 62.25 region, I would be looking for a big leap back up into the low 70s. What about Mr. Buterol? How's he doing? On a weekly schedule as well. You know, we did have that target to the upside at the 21, right around $200, but struggling right there is not the sign of strength, not the picture of strength right now. Although the daily does look a little bit more constructive here, I would say the line in the sand is right around about 178.5. As long as we're above there, okay. Violated to the downside, and get ready for the downtrend to resume. So yeah, a lot of alts are either in limbo or just not looking all that strong. Again, at the end of the day, you know, Bitcoin is the king. So until Bitcoin does it, I wouldn't call it over, but it is a little bit concerning that we don't see altcoins agreeing across the market. Speaking of, let's go check out Bitcoin dominance, which see what we're doing right here. I want to imagine it's probably finding its footing, as we said yesterday. Yes, indeed it is. I do think that it bounces here. Probably bounces back up towards the short term, like back towards somewhere around 70%. Overall, I mean, you know, on the macro, we are kind of putting a lower high right now. But I don't think that this is a macro lower high until we actually close below about 69.25. If we can do that, then yes, macro lower high, and I'd be extremely bullish on alts versus satoshis. But for now, I think that this is actually probably the top of a lot of rallies for altcoins versus satoshis. Especially looking at the weekly, we're just coming back down to test the 200 simple and 200 exponential moving average. As long as we're above there, I'm very bullish on this. So I actually think this is an opportunity. This is kind of an opportunity moment if you are playing those. I'm curious to see what some of the altcoins versus Bitcoin look like. Cardano, again, you know, longer term, is it put in a base or is it put in a lower high? Well, this looks very corrective here, to be fair. We are getting rejected from the retest of this trend line off the rising channel that we broke down from in early October. So not good either. I mean, we're also seeing daily stocks cross back to the downside, rejecting getting out of the bearish control zone. I think that that's quite nasty. Let's see if the other Satoshi pairs kind of agree. What's Mr. Ripple's nipples looking like? 3250. Again, this is not. I mean, sideways and down is what it looks like to me. Monero, down. This is a straight downtrend. Straight fucking downtrend here. Now we are kind of in a falling channel. If you can visualize this, in fact, I'll just switch this guy around because we don't really. I mean, you know, it is valid. It is accurate, but it's not really relevant to what we're looking at right now. We are in a kind of a falling channel right here, coming off a downtrend, which is, though the probabilities of that breaking to the upside are diminished. Certainly. And same thing on daily also. There's daily stocks down, daily RSI getting very comfortable in the bearish control zone. What about Stellar? You know, looks to me like it wants to come down here. Living below all major moving averages can't be. I'm never bullish on anything that looks like that. Litecoin versus Bitcoin, same thing. You know, could it be though that a lot of alts just trade sideways here? Perhaps yes. But that does kind of tell me that that's kind of the best case scenario right now for a lot of alts, just trading sideways on the lows, maybe puts in accumulation formations over time. I think that would be okay, but that would also imply a time, you know, a much more prolonged time component of staying within this region. Buterol versus Bitcoin, same thing. I mean, this is just rounding over it. This is very ugly, very fucking ugly. Weekly, very, very ugly. Wow. So yeah, let's go look at total market cap as well, which if I recall correctly was looking, yeah, on a weekly it's okay. You know, living above all major moving averages. Did we officially take out this trend line right here? Let's see. We didn't officially take it out, but we're gonna have a chance to on this next one. On this next closure. What about on a daily schedule though? And let me just get rid of this now because, or sorry, maybe not get rid of it, but just redraw it for this price action. There we go. Kind of run a regression line through there, and you can see that we're still getting rejected by it. You know, still holding the downtrend. The 200 simple getting it even better. So I just kind of remove this and just operate off the 200 simple right here. Even get rid of this horizontal right here. It's just not too relevant to what we're looking at. That also means. And this does kind of look like a flag right now. If we do close daily anywhere above about 245 billion above the 200 simple, I'd be looking for this to explode all the way up to, you know, 260, 265 at the very least, and probably even 275 up here. And then this just looks, you know, this would look good. You know, we're starting to switch around. We get the golden cross on the daily moving averages right here, and you know, all's happy in crypto land. But to the, you know, there is still a downside threat if you know, if we trade below about 234 billion, this death cross will play out. We're going to come at the very least all the way back down to 216 billion and probably much lower than that over time. It'd just be another lower high. So I do want to kind of separate myself from the excitement in the market right now. Even though I am long, I still think that Bitcoin has a lot of work to do to kind of prove itself. And even in lower timeframes, most lower timeframes look like they want to test a little bit lower here. And I really don't like coming back down to that, anywhere below 9,000 really, just because I feel like we've already kind of had that test into the gap, as we spoke about, was likely to happen over the past couple of days. I believe that we've gotten that we've received from Bull Jesus, and now you really want to see bulls pull through here, and because if it comes back down there, it's just unlikely. It's just unlikely that actually does play out. But hey, like I said, until we actually see a closure on a higher time frame, or at the very least a 4-hour below like 8,900, I wouldn't necessarily call it over just yet. And I retain my bias to the upside as long as we remain above there. So yeah, a lot of things hinging upon that area. Everything just about on every time frame converges on that area. If you want to make things extremely simple, here's what I do. Just speaking of simple, take all the major moving averages off except for one, just the 200 simple right here. No pun intended. Look at the 12-hour. 12-hour has a resistance right around 96.50. So if you wanted to use a higher time frame for the next breakup to the upside, I use this area right here, 96.50 on a 12-hour, maybe even 9600 on a 12-hour delta closure, or as we spoke about earlier, a 4-hour closing above 97.50. Both would likely net the same response. I'd be looking for another move back into the mid to low 10,000s, 10.3 to 10.5 is where I'd be targeting from that. And by the same token, to the downside, just put on your daily 200 simple right here. Any sort of a daily delta closure below the 200 simple, which is about 9,000 even, and I'd look for a quick move to 85, probably a small bounce there, and then continuation likely below 8,000 over time. So the stakes are high right now, and I'd like to be bullish on Bitcoin. I do think that the higher timeframes do suggest that we do resolve this to the upside, and I do think that is the most encouraging thing. Of course, higher timeframes do rule the world, and I kind of leave you off with that. So I do want to wish everyone well. As always, wish you well over here from now Helsinki, Finland. I unlikely will be on later because I'm still awaiting fucking internet in my own personal apartment. I'm actually back in Elsa's apartment right now, but hopefully that gets resolved later today, which would be absolutely great. And again, if I missed your messages, please feel free to recontact me. If I haven't responded to your messages, it's perhaps because you've been like asking me for money or something like that, which is, I think, a little bit. I think that's a little bit inappropriate, to be quite honest with you. So fair enough. Again, take care, everyone. Until next time, see you soon.